Keisha woke early, before the sun rose above the rooftops. She slipped out of bed, her feet touching the cool floor, and she stretched until her muscles felt long and ready. Today was a school day, but it was also a day full of promise. She tied her hair back in a neat bun, careful to keep each strand in place. That hair was a source of pride, a crown that spoke of her roots and of the care her mother took every morning to braid it just right. Keisha believed that how she looked on the outside mattered as much as how she felt on the inside. In the kitchen, her mother hummed softly as she prepared oatmeal. The smell of cinnamon and warm milk filled the air. "You look ready for anything," her mother said, pressing a gentle kiss on Keisha's forehead. Keisha smiled, feeling the comfort of home wrap around her. At 13, she was both young and brave, a quiet force in her small town. She ate slowly, savoring each bite, and thought about the karate class she would attend after school. The dojo was her second home, where Master Chen guided her with kind firmness. By the time Keisha stepped out onto the sidewalk, the sky was pale pink. She walked to the bus stop with her backpack slung over one shoulder. Her uniform was crisp and tidy, the school emblem bright against her white shirt. Other students waited around her, some chatted in groups, others stared at their phones. A few whispered when she passed, "There she goes again."
Ow.
She pretended not to hear. She had learned that some people liked to talk, but she did not let their words reach her heart. At Lincoln Middle School, the halls were always crowded. Lockers clanged, footsteps echoed, and laughter bounced off the walls. Keisha moved through the sea of students with calm steps, her eyes focused ahead. She kept her back straight and her chin lifted. Some girls glanced at her hair bun and rolled their eyes. Keisha felt them watching, and a small knot of tension formed in her chest. But she simply walked on, reminding herself of the strength she carried inside. Keisha's closest friend, Mia, waved from the doorway of their classroom. Mia's bright grin made Keisha feel safe. They took their seats together, whispering about the math quiz they had that morning. Mia loved numbers, and Keisha admired her talent. The teacher began the lesson, and Keisha took out her notebook. She wrote each word carefully, her handwriting neat and even. Learning was a way to build confidence, she believed. Just as karate helped her body grow strong, lunchtime arrived, and the cafeteria buzzed with noise. Students jostled for space, traded snacks, and shared jokes. Keisha and Mia sat at their usual table near the window where sunlight streamed in. They talked about Master Chen's last class and the new form they were learning. Shesha's eyes lit up as she described the precise knee rises and the balance required. Mia listened, impressed. "You make it sound so graceful," she said. Keisha shrugged. To her, karate was as natural as breathing, but not everyone admired her. Tanya and her group of friends sat at a table across the room. They glanced over at Keisha and Mia, laughter flickering in their eyes. Keisha sensed the stares and folded her arms. She had noticed how Tanya's group whispered as she passed, their voices low but sharp. They had never spoken to her directly, but their actions cut just as deeply. Still, Keisha kept her head high. She refused to let their envy dim her light. After lunch, Mrs. Diaz announced a group project. Students formed teams, and Keisha found herself paired with a girl named Harper, one of Tanya's friends. Keisha felt her heart speed up. Working with Harper could be a challenge, but she believed in staying respectful. She greeted Harper with a soft hi and offered to share her notes. Harper's eyes narrowed, but she nodded. Throughout the project, Harper stayed quiet, her gaze flicking to Keisha's hair bun. Keisha answered every question clearly, her voice steady. By the end of class, Harper had contributed little, but Keisha remained composed. The bell rang, and Keisha gathered her things. She walked toward the door, her heart calm but alert. She knew that after school, Tanya's group often hung around the back exit. She wondered if they would cause trouble again. Still, she walked with purpose, her backpack firm on her shoulder. The threat of their nastiness did not scare her. She had found bravery in her training at the dojo. When Keisha arrived at the small gym where Master Chen taught, the smell of fresh mats and cleaning spray greeted her. Other students bowed to Master Chen as they entered. Keisha folded her hands in front of her chest and bowed low. Master Chen's eyes, kind yet firm, met hers. Keisha felt at home. Together, they practiced warm-up stretches, stances, and forms. Each movement felt like poetry, each step a meditation. As she moved, she let go of the worries from school. The stress in her chest unfurled into calm confidence. Master Chen watched Keisha closely. "Your balance improves each day," he said. "Remember, the mind must be as still as water, even when forces try to disturb you." Keisha nodded. She focused on the water. Image a glass bowl of still water and imagined her mind clear and untroubled. Then Master Chen introduced a new partner drill. Keisha faced a taller student, ready to block and redirect any gentle strike. She felt her heart beat fast, but she remembered her lessons on control. When the student came forward, Keisha met the motion with calm strength, guiding the energy aside. The room was silent for a moment, then applause followed. After class, Keisha packed her bag. The physical work had left her pleasantly tired, her muscles humming with effort. She bowed again to Master Chen and thanked him. As she walked outside, the late afternoon sun warmed her face. She felt stronger than ever. Today had tested her patience and resolve, but she had risen to the challenges with kindness and dignity. On her walk home, Keisha thought about the next day. She would braid her hair a little differently. She decided to neat twists instead of a single bun. She smiled at the idea of change. Her hair was hers to style, to honor her roots, and to show the world her unique beauty. She would carry her strength with her, in her steps, and in her peaceful heart. Evening came softly. Keisha sat at the kitchen table, helping her mother prepare dinner. They talked about small things, school projects, favorite books, and the quiet pleasure of learning new forms in karate. Her mother listened and smiled, proud of her daughter's calm wisdom. As Keisha washed the dishes, she felt gratitude for the supportive home she shared with her family. Later, Keisha lay in bed and read a few pages of her favorite book. Then she turned off the light, closed her eyes, and remembered Master Chen's words, "Mind still as water." She breathed in deep, and as she exhaled, she felt all her fears and tensions flow away. She drifted into sleep with a heart full of hope, ready for whatever challenge tomorrow would bring. ChatGPT said. Keisha felt the first pinch of fear when Tanya's group cornered her in the stall. The restroom's fluorescent light flickered as the door clicked shut. Keisha rounded on her classmates with polite surprise, forcing herself to stay calm. "What's wrong?" she asked softly, breathing steady. Tanya's lips curved into a fake smile. "We just wanted to say sorry," she said, holding up a bottle of Keisha's shampoo. Keisha relaxed for a moment. She remembered the time she forgave small slights before. She nodded and placed her hand on the shampoo. The girls pressed in close, their whispers like cold wind. "We're really sorry," Tanya repeated, voice low. Keisha shrugged and tipped the bottle to pour a little into her palm. The liquid smelled clean and fresh, like citrus. She lathered it into her scalp, humming to hide the tremble in her voice. Her friends had said sorry before, she believed, in giving people a chance. But just as she closed her eyes, she felt a sharp sting. Her fingers stung where the soap touched. She blinked. The light above seemed too bright. Panic bubbled up. She jumped, splashing water from the basin. "What?" Keisha gasped, her voice catching. She reached to rinse again, but the sting grew worse. She blinked fast, her heart pounding. Tanya's group pressed closer, giggling behind their hands. Keisha's head throbbed, and she realized the worst. This was not her shampoo. Her heart hammered as she reached up and touched her hair. Fingertips met rough strands. Keisha flipped her head forward, water splashing onto the floor. She tried to see in the mirror, but her vision blurred. She turned and shrank back against the stall door. "Why?" she whispered, voice shaky. Tears burned behind her eyes. Suddenly, the door burst open. One bully lunged forward, and Keisha's karate training took over. She twisted her body and pushed the girl away, using a small wrist lock she had learned. The attacker yelped and stumbled out. Keisha grabbed the edge of the sink to steady herself, her chest heaving. Her heart still raced, but her mind felt sharp. Tanya froze. The other girls backed away, shocked. Keisha stared at them, pain and anger mingling in her gaze. "Stop," she said, voice firm even though her lips trembled. She raised one hand to show she meant no more harm. The girls fled, their laughter cut short. Keisha dropped her hand and slid down to sit on the cool tile. Tears came then, falling freely as the pain in her scalp flared. She pressed her fingers to the side of her head, feeling the rough, brittle hair. She closed her eyes, breathing slow. She remembered Master Chen's words, "Mind still as water." She imagined a calm pond, glassy and quiet. She pictured that pond inside her head. Gradually her breathing slowed and the tears dried. She stood, trembling slightly, and rinsed her hair under the faucet. The water ran cloudy at first, then clear. She felt empty as the water washed over her. She looked at her reflection, streaks of pale yellow and white cut through her dark curls. Her heart ached, but she lifted her chin. She was more than her hair. When she opened the stall door, the restroom was silent. No one had come to help. Keisha took a deep breath and walked out with steady steps. Her uniform was damp at the hem from the water on the floor. She cradled the shampoo bottle, too, her chest like a wounded friend. In the hallway, whispers trailed behind her. "Did you see Keisha's hair?" Someone gasped. Others stared with wide eyes. Keisha kept her gaze forward, mind focused on one thought. She would not let this break her. At home that evening, her mother saw her face first, eyes red, cheeks blotched. She pulled Keisha into a hug. Keisha rested her head on her mother's shoulder and let the tears come again. She told her mother everything. The fake apology, the sting, the moment she used karate to protect herself. Her mother's arms wrapped around her tighter. "I'm so sorry, baby," her mother whispered. She guided Keisha to the bathroom sink and gently washed her hair, using special conditioner to soothe her scalp. "We'll fix this," her mother said. "Tomorrow, we'll call the school. We'll find a way to make things right." Keisha nodded, feeling warm safety in her mother's care. That night, sleep did not come easily. Keisha lay in the dark, head buzzing with thoughts. She thought of how small the bathroom had seemed. She thought of Tanya's mocking eyes. Thought of the strength she had found in the wrist lock. Worry in her chest turned into resolve. She realized she would not run from bullies. She would face them, but with dignity and control. The next morning, Keisha braided her hair into 2 tight twists. The pattern was new, a symbol of change. Her mother watched, her hands gentle and sure. "This will help protect your scalp," she said, "and it looks beautiful." Keisha touched the twists, feeling the neat lines against her fingers. She felt stronger already. At the bus stop, some students stared. Others whispered. Keisha waited patiently. When the bus arrived, she climbed aboard and found Mia. Mia's eyes widened at the braids. She ran her fingers lightly along the twist. "They suit you," she said softly. Keisha smiled and sat down. In school, teachers and staff had been alerted. The principal met Keisha in the hall and offered a quiet apology. "We'll find out who did this," she promised. Keisha nodded. She appreciated the kindness, but she did not look broken. She looked determined. That afternoon in the dojo, Keisha stepped onto the mat with focused calm. Master Chen greeted her with a nod. He had heard what happened. "You did well," he said. "You protected yourself without losing your heart." Keisha bowed deeply. She felt pride, but also humility. They practiced slowly at first, breathing, stances, soft blocks. Each movement reminded Keisha of balance between mind and body. She thought of the bathroom floor, the sting of bleach, the fear in her chest. With each form, she let that fear flow away like ripples in water. Then Master Chen introduced a new drill, partner defense. Keisha faced a taller boy who moved gently toward her. He aimed a light blow at her side. Keisha stepped aside, sweeping his foot with a precise motion. The boy fell softly onto the mat. Keisha held her hand out to help him up. He took it and smiled. Walking home that evening, Keisha felt calm. The sun was low, painting the sky with soft orange. She thought of the next day and the day after that. She would stand tall, let her inner strength shine, and show everyone that she was more than a target. She wrote in her journal about what she had learned. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act with kindness even when scared. She wrote of gratitude for her family and for Master Chen. She wrote of hope that one day no one would bully another for their hair or skin. As Keisha closed her journal, she felt sleep come gently. She drifted off knowing that tomorrow held new challenges and that she had the power to face them. Her heart was still as water, her mind clear and ready, and nothing could wash that away. Keisha arrived at school the next morning with a quiet confidence. She had wrapped her bleached hair in a colorful scarf, knotting it neatly at the nape of her neck. As she walked through the gate, the early sunlight warmed her face, and she felt a small thrill. She had survived worse than stares. She had survived fear. In the courtyard, students gathered in clusters. Some paused when they saw Keisha and whispered. A few reached out to touch the silk of her scarf, as if to ask for her story. Keisha smiled at them and nodded a greeting. She carried herself like someone who belonged here because she did. Was not just the girl who had been attacked. She was a student, a friend, and a karate protege. Mia was waiting by the lockers, her eyes bright with concern and support. "Hey, Mia," said softly. "How are you feeling today?" Keisha ran, a hand along the scarf, feeling the smooth fabric. "Better," she said. "I slept well." Mia smiled. "Good. I'm so proud of you." They hugged, careful not to hurt Keisha's tender scalp. The small act of kindness warmed Keisha's heart inside their first period class. The teacher asked everyone to share one positive thought for the day. When it was Keisha's turn, she took a breath and spoke clearly. "I'm grateful for new beginnings," she said. Faces turned toward her, some curious, some gentle. Keisha glanced at the bleach streaks peeking under the scarf and smiled. To herself, she was grateful for change. At lunchtime, the principal and a counselor joined Keisha, Mia, and two other friends at their table. The principal looked serious, but kind. "Keisha," she said, "we are planning an assembly on respect and kindness. We want you to tell your story if you feel comfortable." Keisha felt her chest tighten at the thought of speaking in front of the whole school, but she also felt a spark of purpose. "I'll do it," she said quietly. The principal nodded in relief, and the counselor gave her a supportive smile. After school, Keisha walked to the locker room where Master Chen often let her practice when the gym was empty. Removed her scarf, revealing her bleached hair. Some strands were fragile and others were stiff from the bleach. She ran her fingers through it gently. It would take time to grow out, she knew, but the hair would grow back. Her strength inside would not. Master Chen stood by the mats, watching her. "You look peaceful," he said. Keisha nodded. "I feel more calm today." He gestured toward the mat. "Shall we begin?" They started with deep breathing, slow inhale, slow exhale, matching the rise and fall of Keisha's chest. Then came stretching, each reach and bend, releasing tension from her shoulders and back as they moved into forms. Keisha felt water-like calm in her mind, just as Master Chen had taught her. Each movement flowed into the next, arms and legs tracing familiar paths. She thought of the assembly she would lead and felt gratitude for this practice. The karate forms were her allies, guiding her through fear toward confidence. After forms, Mr. Chen introduced a partner, exercise focused on compassion and defense. He asked Keisha to face him and gently place her hands on his wrists, feeling the strength in his arms. Then she was to redirect his energy in a soft circle and guide him to a gentle bow. Keisha centered herself, placing her palms on his wrists. She felt his firm but kind strength. She led the motion in a small arc and helped him lower into a respectful estote. Master Chen straightened and smiled. "Well done." Defense is not just about blocking or striking. It is about understanding your opponent and guiding energy, even when there is conflict. Keisha nodded, holding the lesson close to her heart. Walking home, Keisha thought about what the principal had said. An assembly on respect and kindness. She walked past houses with green lawns and friendly front porches. Birds chirped overhead. The world seemed peaceful today. She felt a gentle hope rise in her chest. She would tell her story. Maybe it could help someone else find courage. At home, her mother met her at the door with a warm hug. "You look tired," her mother said, pressing a cool cloth to Keisha's forehead. Keisha sank onto the couch, and her mother sat beside her, I have to speak to everyone, Keisha said, touching the scarf. I'm nervous. Her mother took her hand. You have a strong voice, Keisha. You can help others understand why. Kindness matters. Keisha leaned against her, comforted by her mother's belief in her. That night, Keisha sat at her desk with her journal and a stack of blank note cards. She wrote down what had happened: the bathroom attack, the sting of pain the moment she defended herself with karate. Then she wrote how she felt afterward, shamed, fearful, but also determined to heal. She made a list of the lessons she learned. Be true to yourself, face fear with calm, use strength with mercy, and speak up for what is right. The next morning, Keisha packed her notes into her backpack and tied her hair into 2 clean braids. At school, she headed to the auditorium with the principal and counselor. The stage was set with chairs for the audience and a single microphone in the center. Keisha's heart thumped as students filed in. She spotted faces she knew: friends, classmates, even some of Tanya's group watching from the back. When the principal introduced her, the auditorium fell silent. Keisha stepped onto the stage and stood straight. She looked at the sea of faces. She took a deep breath, recalling Master Chen's teaching, mind still as water. Then she spoke, her voice steady.
Good morning.
My name is Keisha Williams. I want to share what happened and what I learned. I hope my story helps you understand why we must choose kindness. She spoke slowly, describing her love for karate and her pride in her natural hair. She told them how Tanya's group had poured bleach into her shampoo, hoping to harm her. She told them how she had used her karate training not to hurt them, but to protect herself. She explained how her mother's love helped her heal and how the school's support gave her hope. She ended with the lessons she had written down: being true, facing fear, mercy, speaking up. As Keisha finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then pockets of applause grew into a full standing ovation. Keisha felt tears prick her eyes, but they were tears of relief and triumph. She walked off the stage, and the principal hugged her. Students lined up to shake her hand, saying, "Thank you for sharing, and you're so brave." Even Harper, one of Tanya's friends, stepped forward and offered a quiet apology. Keisha accepted it with a nod and a gentle smile. After the assembly, school announced new anti-bullying workshops led by the counselor and supported by the karate club. Keisha volunteered to help. She felt proud to turn her pain into positive change. That afternoon, Keisha returned to the dojo. Master Chen watched her enter with a knowing smile. She bowed deeply, and he nodded. They practiced together, refining forms and sharing quiet moments of reflection. Keisha felt light and strong, like water that could flow calmly around obstacles. On her walk home, sun painted the sky with pink and gold. Keisha thought of tomorrow's classes, of new faces she might meet, and of the girl she was becoming. She no longer felt defined by the attack. She felt defined by her response, her courage, her grace, and her determination to help others at home. She helped her mother prepare dinner. They laughed over a shared cooking mistake and traded stories about Keisha's speeches. Her mother beamed at her. Keisha felt warmth spread through her chest. She realized that the support of family and friends was as vital as any karate lesson. That night, Keisha placed her notes and cards in a special box. She closed her journal and whispered a quiet prayer of thanks for strength, for healing, and for the hope of a kinder world. As she drifted to sleep, her mind was still and clear, like a calm lake under a starry sky. She knew that tomorrow would bring challenges, but she was ready, and that made all the difference. Keisha sat at the long table in the empty classroom, her hands folded in her lap. The late afternoon sun cast warm stripes across the floor, and the walls felt close and quiet. She glanced at the clock on the wall just past 4. She had arrived. Early for detention, determined not to let her fear show. Soon, Tanya and her friends filed in, their voices low but full of smirks. "Look who's here," one girl whispered, nudging Tanya. Tanya's eyes flicked to Keisha, and Keisha returned, her gaze calmly. Her heart fluttered, but she pressed her lips together. She would not give them the thrill of seeing her shake. The teacher left a folder on the desk, reminding them that this was a chance to finish missing work. Then she closed the door and walked away. Silence fell. Tanya's group slid into seats across from Keisha, their chairs squeaking on the linoleum. They arranged their notebooks carefully as if they meant to work, but their eyes never left Keisha. After a few moments, Tanya leaned forward. "So," she said casually, "did you ever learn anything useful at that karate place?" Her tone was mocking, but Keisha took a deep breath and answered with truth. "Karate taught me respect and control," she said, "to use strength wisely." The other girl snickered. Tanya's mouth twisted in a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Show us then," Tanya challenged softly. "Show us that wisdom." Hush fell. Keisha's mind raced. She could ignore the taunt, but she knew that doing so might let them think she was afraid. She closed her eyes for a moment and felt her breath slow. She remembered the still water, the calm pond that reflected the sky. She pictured the pond inside her. She opened her eyes. Keisha rose to her feet. Tanya's friends gasped. Keisha stood tall. She folded her arms in front of her chest, bowing her head slightly in respect, just as she did at the dojo. She looked up at Tanya. "Yes," Keisha said, her voice steady. "I'll show you." Tanya stood as well, crossing her arms. "Fine," she said. "Let's see you do it." No. The other girls rose, forming a loose circle around them. Pressed closer, eager to watch. Keisha's heart pounded, but she felt a steady calm in her mind. Keisha took one step forward, placing her toes on the line of sunlight creeping across the floor. She shifted her weight into a front stance just as Master Chen had taught her. Her back leg straight, her front knee bent, her hands lifted in soft fists at her waist. She breathed in through her nose, filling her lungs, then breathed out through her mouth, letting the air hiss like a soft wave. Tanya tapped her foot, her eyes narrowing. "Do something," she jeered. Keisha held her stance, her gaze locked. On Tanya's chest, she asked Tanya to step forward. Tanya hesitated a moment, then swaggered a step closer. Keisha raised her left hand into a blocking position, palm facing outward at shoulder height, fingers steady. Tanya swung a loose punch at Keisha's side. Keisha shifted her center of gravity and let the punch slide off her block. The energy continued past her shoulder and she guided it into a gentle redirection. Tanya stumbled forward, surprised by the ease of her own movement. Keisha placed her right hand on Tanya's elbow, guiding her arm in a smooth arc, down toward the floor. Tanya's knee buckled, and she landed lightly on one knee. The classroom was silent. Keisha released her hold and bowed slightly to Tanya. She did not strike again. She did not humiliate her. She simply stood with calm dignity, her breathing even, her gaze soft but clear. She waited. Tanya looked up, confusion and pride mixing in her eyes. Slowly, she pushed herself to her feet and returned Keisha's bow. "Okay," Tanya said in a small voice. "I see." The circle of girls murmured in surprise. Some exchanged looks of respect. Others looked down, ashamed of their mocking behavior. Keisha stepped back and relaxed her stance. Her muscles felt warm and strong, but her heart felt gentle. She gathered her hands in front of her again and gave a small nod of thanks.
Ow.
Then she turned and walked to her seat. The room seemed brighter now, as if the walls had shifted to let in more light. For the rest of detention, no one spoke. The teacher returned briefly to check on them, then left again. Keisha opened her notebook and began her work, her pen moving smoothly across the paper. Tanya and her friends watched her for a moment, then opened their own folders and wrote silently. Keisha felt no anger, toward them only a quiet peace. When the bell rang, Keisha packed her bag slowly. Tanya approached her at the door. Keisha looked up, expecting coldness. Instead, Tanya met her eyes with something like respect. "Thanks," Tanya said simply, "for showing me." She paused. "You're really good?" Keisha offered a small smile. "Be safe," she said. Then she walked down the hallway and out into the afternoon sun. Outside, students filed past, heads bent, over phones or chats. Some paused to look at Keisha, their expressions shifting from curiosity to admiration. One boy gave her a thumbs up. Keisha nodded in return, her heart light. On her walk home, Keisha thought about the moment in detention. She realized that strength did not come from hitting harder than someone else. Strength came from knowing when to stop. Strength came from holding your power with humility and using it to lift others, not to put them down. She felt proud to have stood up for herself in a way that honored her training. When she reached the dojo that evening, Master Chen was waiting. He bowed as she entered. Keisha bowed back and joined him on the mat. He led her through calming stretches, then watched as she repeated the form they had practiced the day before. He nodded at each movement, his eyes shining. After she finished, he placed a hand on her shoulder. "You flow with the water of your mind," he said. "You used your strength with mercy. You showed others the true art of karate." Keisha felt warmth spread through her chest. She realized that her struggle had become her lesson, not just for herself, but for everyone who had watched. Walking home under the pink twilight sky, Keisha thought of tomorrow's school day. She knew that people would talk about what she had done, but she did not mind. She felt ready for whatever came next. Her hair might still carry the scars of bleach, but her spirit was whole and flowing, strong like water over smooth stones, peaceful and powerful all at once. Keisha woke to soft sunlight filtering through her curtains. She stretched and ran her fingers through her hair, feeling the gentle fuzz of new growth. The bleach scars were fading and small curls peeked through in dark spirals. She smiled at the change. Each morning, she would gently massage her scalp with nourishing oil, careful and patient. Her mother had given her a special brush that would help the new hair grow strong. Together they talked each day about hopes and dreams, and Keisha felt her heart fill with gratitude for this small journey of healing. At breakfast, her family gathered around the table, voices warm and cheerful. Her little brother asked about karate class, and her father teased her to show him a cool move. Keisha laughed and politely declined. Mastering strength was a serious art. She passed the pancakes and poured syrup, feeling safe in the rhythm. A family life. The table buzzed with everyday talk, school projects, weekend plans, funny stories from the morning bus ride. Keisha felt the gentle kindness of home wash over her, a reminder that love helped her stand strong in the world. When she arrived at school, the courtyard felt different. Bright posters for the new respect workshops lined the walls. Students gathered around colorful boards that explained how to treat each other with dignity. Keisha paused and read the words, "Kind words grow kind hearts. Stand up for others. Celebrate difference." She smiled, proud to know that her own story had helped spark this change. She nodded to the students distributing flyers, and they waved back. The school felt more alive, more caring, and Keisha felt part of something bigger, community learning to be better together. In homeroom, the teacher announced a special project. Each student would write a letter of apology or thanks to someone they had hurt or who had hurt them. Keisha felt her heart skip. She remembered Tanya's apology and how she had accepted it with grace. She decided to write to Tanya, thanking her for that moment of truth, when Tanya bowed and said she understood. Keisha knew the act of writing would deepen her own forgiveness and help Tanya feel brave in making amends. She opened her notebook and began to write with a calm mind. Lunchtime felt warm and bright. Keisha sat with Mia and two new friends. She had made through the workshop committee. They planned the first meeting of the karate club's kindness lessons, where Keisha would teach simple self-defense moves and the importance of mercy. Together, they sketched out a flyer, colorful shapes, clear words, a photo of Keisha bowing in her white GI. They wrote, "Learn respect, learn strength, learn kindness." As they worked, other students stopped to watch, asking questions. Keisha felt her cheeks flush with excitement. Her idea was taking shape in the hallways of her school. After lunch, Keisha went to the library for her group project. The librarian had set aside a row of books on peace, leadership, and resilience. Keisha picked one with bright pictures and simple words, a book about a girl who saved her town by teaching everyone to forgive. She shared it with her classmates, pointing out the story's lessons. They listened and nodded, marking pages for quotes they would discuss. Keisha felt proud to lead this quiet revolution through words and stories. The library, once just a place for reading, now buzzed with new energy and purpose. When the final bell rang, Keisha headed to the dojo for her last lesson of the week. Master Chen waited by the mats, smiling as always. Today, he said, we celebrate growth. He presented Keisha with a small box wrapped in silk. Her heart fluttered. Inside was a new belt streaked with green threads that shimmered. In the light, it was not the next rank, but a special award for courage and leadership. Keisha's eyes welled with tears of joy. She knelt and bowed deeply. Master Chen placed the belt around her waist with a gentle nod. They spent the rest of the class practicing forms, but today the movements felt different. Each block, each stance carried the weight of her journey, the fear in the bathroom, the courage in detention, the grace on the stage. She flowed from one movement to the next with quiet strength. Master Chen watched, pleased. When class ended, he gathered the students in a circle and invited Keisha to share what the green threads meant. In front of her peers, she spoke softly. They remind me that new growth comes from care, patience, and community. Just like green shoots after rain, kindness helps us grow stronger. Walking home that evening, Keisha felt light. The sun was low, and the sky glowed orange. She thought about the school's kindness workshops, her own karate club lessons, and the way students now greeted each other with smiles instead of whispers. She felt hope bloom inside her chest. She realized she had helped paint a picture of respect in her own small corner of the world. Each respectful step, each kind word, each gentle bows had become her legacy. At home, dinner was lively. Her mother asked about the workshop plans, and her father teased her about the green belt. Her brother asked if he could join a karate. Les and Keisha laughed and agreed. They shaved cheese onto their plates and talked about their day. The evening passed in warm conversation, the kind that settles into your bones and reminds you of belonging. Later, her mother asked if she had finished her apology letter to Tanya. Keisha nodded and handed it over. Thank you for finding the courage to say sorry. Your words helped me forgive, and I hope we can both be kinder to others. They folded the note and slipped it into an envelope addressed to Tanya. That night, before bed, Keisha looked in the mirror at her new belt tied around her waist, at the soft curls that peeked from her scarf. She thought of all she had learned, that true strength is measured by the kindness we show, not the power we hold. That forgiveness can heal wounds deeper than bleach, that one person's courage can inspire a whole community. She whispered a quiet thank you to Master Chen, to her mother, to her friends, and to herself. Then she closed her eyes, her heart calm and full, ready for tomorrow's sunrise. As she drifted to sleep, Keisha dreamt of green fields and clear water, of bows and respectful smiles, of hands held out in friendship. She knew that life would bring new challenges, but she also knew she would face them with dignity and kindness. Her journey from pain to power to forgiveness had shown her that even the smallest person can help change the world. And with that comforting thought, she slipped into a peaceful sleep, eager for the bright promise of a new day.